When most people think of Psalm 23, they think of hushed voices at funerals, a passage read in hospital rooms, or words recited when comfort is needed in the darkest of hours. It's often associated with death, sorrow, and moments of grief. But here's the truth that so many miss. Psalm 23 is not a psalm of death. It is a psalm of life. It's not simply a few poetic verses tucked in the middle of Scripture. It's a declaration of how God desires us to live, how He provides for us, protects us, restores us, and walks with us every single step of the way. This psalm is more than just beautiful words. It's a secret, a hidden key that has the power to change the way you see God, the way you see yourself, and the way you walk through this world. When David wrote these words, he wasn't sitting on a throne with all the comforts of a palace. He was a man who had walked through valleys of fear, betrayal, and danger. He knew the loneliness of caves, the threat of enemies, and the weight of his own failures. Yet from that place, he penned words so rich and so profound that they still echo through history and pierce the human heart today. Psalm 23 is not written from theory, it's written from testimony. It's the voice of someone who knew the shepherd personally, who had experienced his care, his guidance, and his mercy in the midst of chaos. You see, when David said, "The Lord is my shepherd," he wasn't reciting a religious slogan. He was proclaiming the most radical truth a person could ever embrace: that the Creator of the universe is not distant, cold, or indifferent, but near, tender, and intimately involved in every detail of our lives. And this is where so many of us miss the secret. We read Psalm 23 like poetry, but we forget it is a covenant. It is God revealing Himself as shepherd to His people, a promise of provision, protection, and presence that holds true for every believer who will dare to trust Him fully. This is why today I want to take you on a journey through Psalm 23 like you may have never seen it before. We are not just going to admire its beauty. We are going to uncover its power. Each line contains a hidden treasure, a truth that can reframe how you face fear, how you rest, how you walk through uncertainty, and how you stand when surrounded by enemies. The secret of Psalm 23 is that it is not simply about surviving life. It is about living it with unshakable confidence in the shepherd who never leaves, never fails, and never stops pursuing his sheep. Stay with me, because as we open this psalm together, you may discover that the words you thought you knew by heart are actually the very words that your heart has been waiting for all along. Number 1, the Lord is my shepherd. Identity before provision. Before David speaks of green pastures, still waters, or even restoration, he begins with the foundation. The Lord is my shepherd. Everything else in Psalm 23 flows from this one declaration. And this is where the secret begins. You see, David could have started by listing his needs, his battles, or his fears. Instead, he begins by identifying who God is to him. Notice that David doesn't say, "The Lord is a shepherd." He doesn't even say, "The Lord is the shepherd." He makes it deeply personal. The Lord is my shepherd. That single word changes everything. It's one thing to believe God cares for the world. It's another to trust that He personally cares for you, sees you, knows you, and calls you His own. David himself had been a shepherd in his youth. He knew the endless patience it took to guide stubborn sheep, the courage required to fight off lions and bears, the sleepless nights spent watching over the flock. When he chose this image to describe God, he wasn't picking something poetic. He was reaching for the most intimate picture of protection and devotion he had ever known. And here's the hidden truth most people miss. Identity comes before provision. Too many of us rush to what God can do for us. Our prayers often sound like grocery lists of needs. But David shows us the order. First, know who He is to you. Provision is powerful, but it is always born out of relationship. Before God gives, He identifies Himself. Before He fills your cup, He holds you close. This truth confronts the lies of our culture that tell us our worth is based on performance, possessions, position. Sheep are not strong, clever, or self-sufficient. They are vulnerable. And yet that's exactly the point. David, a warrior king, humbles himself and says, I am nothing without my shepherd. That's freedom, to stop pretending to be in control and to rest in the care of the one who truly is. Friend, let this sink in. Your life does not rest on your ability to figure it all out. It rests on the shepherd who calls you his own. And when you embrace this identity, everything else in Psalm 23 comes alive. Number 2, I shall not want. Freedom from the grip of lack. The moment David declares, the Lord is my shepherd, he follows with a statement that shakes the very foundation of fear. I shall not want. These words are not about luxury or excess. They are about sufficiency, about living in the reality that with God, I will never lack what I truly need. This is where many of us struggle. We live in a world of scarcity, constantly told we are not enough, don't have enough, and must strive endlessly to fill the gaps. The fear of lack drives anxiety, jealousy, and compromise. But David reveals the secret. When the Lord is your shepherd, you live from a place of abundance, not scarcity. Think about the wilderness where Israel wandered for 40 years. They faced barren landscapes, yet every morning bread fell from heaven. Think about Elijah during the famine. God fed him by ravens at the brook again and again. Scripture shows us that when resources run out, God steps in with provision that cannot be explained by human logic. That is the promise of I shall not want. But let's be clear. This does not mean life will always be comfortable, or that we'll have everything we wish for. It means we will never lack what is necessary for the path he leads us on. The shepherd equips his sheep with exactly what they need for the journey at hand. Sometimes that provision is strength for the day, peace in the storm, or wisdom in the moment. The greater secret here is freedom. To say I shall not want is to break the haze of fear and comparison. It's to step into a life where you no longer define yourself by what you lack, but by who you belong to. This is not denial of reality. It is declaration of faith. It's not ignoring your needs. It's trusting your shepherd with them. So ask yourself, are you living from lack or from abundance? Scarcity will keep you chasing, strafing, and fearing. But abundance says, because the Lord is my shepherd, I am free. I lack nothing. That truly matters. And when you embrace this truth, you begin to walk with a confidence that no circumstance can shake. Number 3, he makes me lie down in green pastures, the secret of rest. There is a subtle but powerful detail hidden in this line. Sheep will not lie down unless they feel completely safe, fully fed, and entirely at peace. If they are hungry, frightened, or restless, they keep moving, anxious and unsettled. David, who knew the nature of sheep firsthand, uses this image to reveal something profound. God himself leads us into true rest. Notice the wording, he makes me lie down. This isn't just an invitation, it's almost an incense. God knows our tendency to run ourselves into exhaustion, to keep striving, worrying, and working even when our souls are crying out for rest. The shepherd does what is necessary to bring us to stillness, because he knows rest is not optional. It is essential for survival. In our culture, rest is often seen as weakness, laziness, or wasted time. But in the kingdom of God, rest is a weapon. Rest is an act of trust. To lie down in green pastures is to declare, I don't need to control everything. My shepherd has already provided what I need. That's not passivity. It's confidence. Think about how Jesus lived. Crowds pressed in on him. Needs surrounded him. Yet he often withdrew, pray, to rest, to be with the Father. He was never in a hurry, because he lived fully aligned with the shepherd's pace. That's the secret David is showing us. Real rest comes not from escaping life, but from trusting the one who holds life together. The green pastures here represent nourishment and abundance. It's a picture of God not only meeting your needs, but providing in a way that brings satisfaction to your soul. Too many of us live spiritually starving, chasing scraps of peace in the world, when the shepherd is offering a pasture of his presence. Friend, hear this. Your shepherd is not just calling you to keep going. He's calling you to rest in him. Rest is not the reward at the end of the journey. It is the strength for the journey itself. When you lie down in his green pastures, you discover that the most powerful thing you can do is trust him enough to be still. Number 4. He leads me beside still waters. The deep peace nobody talks about. If green pastures speak of rest and nourishment, still waters speak of peace and refreshment. David writes, "He leads me beside still waters." And in those words is a secret we often overlook. Peace is not the absence of problems, but the presence of the shepherd. Sheep are afraid of rushing streams. Their wool can easily soak up water, making them heavy and vulnerable if they fall in. A wise shepherd knows this, so he guides them to quiet, gentle waters where they can safely drink and be refreshed. That's the picture David paints here. God doesn't just throw us into overwhelming places. He carefully leads us to waters where our souls can breathe again. So many of us live in the noise of constant demands, news headlines, financial pressures, family struggles, unending to-do lists. Our inner world feels like a raging river. But the shepherd whispers, "Follow me. I'll lead you to still waters." These waters are not found in the chaos of the world, but in the presence of God himself. Jesus echoes this when he says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Here's the hidden beauty. The still waters are not always a change in circumstance. Sometimes the situation around you stays the same, but God brings peace into your heart, so profound that it calms the storm within. This is the peace Paul describes as surpassing all understanding. It makes no sense to the world, but it steadies you in the middle of it all. Think of the disciples in the boat, terrified as the storm raged. Jesus, their shepherd, stood and spoke, "Peace, be still," and the waters obeyed. That's the same shepherd leading you today, not away from storms entirely, but into his stillness in the midst of them. Friend, you don't need to wait for life to quiet down before you find peace. The shepherd is ready to lead you beside still waters right now. His peace is not fragile. It is strong, unshakable, and available in every valley and every season. All you have to do is follow his lead. Number 5. He restores my soul, healing the wounds you carry. There's a reason David doesn't say he comforts my soul or he strengthens my soul. He goes further. He restores my soul. Restoration means something was broken, damaged, or lost, and now it is made whole again. This is the shepherd's work at the deepest level. Life leaves scars. Some are visible, but many are hidden inside. Words spoken over you in the past, betrayals that cut deep, regrets that weigh heavy, shame that refuses to let go. These things wound the soul, and while we can hide them from others, we cannot hide them from God. David knew this intimately. He carried the guilt of adultery, the blood of battles, the heartbreak of family betrayal, and yet he could testify, "The shepherd restores my soul." Restoration is different from repair. Repair patches something up so it can function again. Restoration brings it back its original beauty and purpose. That's what God does with us. He doesn't just patch us up so we can limp along. He renews, revives, and restores the image of his design in us. Think about Peter. He denied Jesus 3 times, and the weight of shame nearly crushed him. But after the resurrection, Jesus didn't just forgive him, he restored him. He called him again, "Feed my sheep." That's restoration. It's God taking the broken places of your story and weaving them into his glory. And here's the secret. Soul restoration is not something we achieve. It's something we receive. Sheep cannot restore themselves. They cannot fix their wounds. They must be cared for. In the same way, our healing comes not from self-effort, but from surrender to the shepherd's touch. Maybe you've been carrying wounds for years, and you wonder if your soul will ever be whole again. Hear this: your shepherd specializes in restoration. Where others see damage, he sees destiny. Where you see ruin, he sees renewal. And when he restores your soul, you don't just survive, you begin to live again. Number 6. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. The secret of fearless living. David shifts the scene from pastures and still waters to the valley of the shadow of death. Notice the wording. Even though I walk through. This is not a permanent place. It's a passage. Valleys are real, but they are not forever. Here's the secret. It's not death itself, but the shadow of death. A shadow cannot hurt you. It can only frighten you. A shadow of a dog cannot bite. A shadow of a sword cannot cut. A shadow of death cannot destroy the child of God, because the shepherd is near. Death was defeated at the cross, and now it only casts a shadow. David says, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. That is the heart of fearless living. The courage doesn't come from pretending the valley isn't real. It comes from knowing the shepherd is walking beside you. His presence changes everything. When a sheep knows the shepherd is near, it walks with confidence, even in dark places. Think of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. The flames were real, but they walked unharmed, because the Lord was with them in the fire. Think of Paul in prison, singing hymns at midnight. The chains were real, but the presence of God was stronger. Fearless living does not mean you will never feel afraid. It means fear does not control you. It means you keep walking even when the shadows loom. Why? Because the shepherd's rod and staff guide and protect you. His authority and his care surround you. Friend, the valley may look dark right now, but it is only a shadow. You are not alone. You are not abandoned. The shepherd who walks with you has already conquered death itself. That is why you can keep moving forward without fear. The valley is not your destination. It is just part of the journey. And on the other side there is light. Number 7. You prepare a table before me. Victory in the presence of enemies. Most of us picture peace and provision coming after the battle is over, after the enemies are gone, after the storm has passed. But David flips this expectation upside down. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Did you catch that? Not after, but in the very presence of opposition. This is the shepherd's way. He doesn't wait until life is perfect to show his goodness. He sets a banquet in the middle of the battlefield. He gives joy when sorrow surrounds you, confidence when fear closes in, abundance when lack tries to define you. The table is not just about food, it's about fellowship, honor, and victory. In biblical times, a king's banquet table was a place of intimacy and status. To be seated there meant you were chosen, protected, and honored. God sets that kind of table for you. Not in secret, but right in front of those who oppose you. Your enemies, whether they are spiritual forces, doubts, or circumstances, have to watch as God lavishes his care on you. Think about Joseph in Egypt. Betrayed by his brothers, forgotten in prison, he eventually sat at Pharaoh's table, honored in the very land where he once suffered. Or think about Daniel, dining with wisdom in Babylon, untouched by the schemes of those who sought his downfall. That's the banquet of the shepherd, provision and honor in the presence of adversity. The secret here is learning to feast while the battle rages. Too often we starve our souls waiting for things to calm down. But God says, sit, eat, enjoy my presence. I am your portion right now. Your enemies may surround you, but your shepherd surrounds them. Friend, don't wait until everything is perfect to enjoy the table of God. Sit down now. Drink deeply of his peace. Feed on his word. Rest in his promises. Your enemies don't get the final word. The shepherd does, and his word is this: you are welcome at my table. Number 8. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. The secret of God's pursuit. David ends the psalm not with uncertainty but with absolute confidence. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Notice how he doesn't say maybe or hopefully, he says surely. This is the language of faith rooted in the character of the shepherd. The word follow here is stronger than we often realize. In Hebrew, it carries the sense of pursuit, like a hunter chasing after prey. God's goodness and mercy don't just casually trail behind you. They actively pursue you every single day of your life. Even when you wander, even when you fall, his mercy runs after you. His goodness will not let you go. This is the opposite of how many people live. They feel chased by failure, haunted by regrets, stalked by fear. But David reveals the truth. If the Lord is your shepherd, you are not hunted by darkness. You are pursued by goodness and mercy. No matter where you go, his grace is on your trail. And then comes the final promise: I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. This is not just about heaven, though. It certainly points to eternity with God. It is also about living daily in his presence. The shepherd is not only leading you through valleys and battles, he is leading you home. Think of the prodigal son. He wandered far, wasted everything, but mercy pursued him. And when he returned, he didn't just become a servant, he was welcomed into the house as a son. That's the heart of Psalm 23. The shepherd doesn't just get you through life, he brings you into his house, his family, his forever. Friend, the secret here is assurance. Your life is not random. You are not stumbling through alone. You are being pursued by goodness, carried by mercy, and drawn into a forever home with the shepherd. And when you finally see him face to face, you'll realize he's been guiding you toward that moment all along. Conclusion. Psalm 23 is not just a collection of poetic lines, it is a living testimony. A condiment, a lifeline, straight from the heart of God to yours. For too long it has been reserved for funerals, whispered in moments of grief, as if its power belongs only to the valley of death. But now you see the truth. This psalm is not about dying well, it is about living well. It is about walking every day with unshakable confidence in the shepherd who never leaves your side. From the opening declaration, "The Lord is my shepherd," to the final promise, "I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever," this psalm traces the entire journey of life. It speaks of identity, provision, rest, peace, restoration, courage, victory, and eternal hope. It reminds you that God's presence is not just an idea, it is a reality. And his promises are not vague, they are personal. They are for you. The secret that most people miss is that Psalm 23 is not meant to be admired from afar. It is meant to be lived. It's not a psalm to be placed on a plaque or recited out of tradition. It's a daily invitation to trust the shepherd with everything. Your fears, your needs, your battles, your wounds, your future. Think about what we've uncovered together. The shepherd calls you his own, so you no longer have to strive for identity. He promises you will not want, so you are free from the chains of lack. He leads you into rest and peace, even in a restless world. He restores your soul when life has left you broken. He walks with you through the darkest valleys, so you never face them alone. He sets a table of victory even when enemies surround you. And his goodness and mercy chase you relentlessly until you finally dwell in his house forever. Friend, this is more than poetry. This is a covenant, and it's yours if you choose to trust him. So here's the question. Will you live as though Psalm 23 is simply a comforting passage for hard times? Or will you step into it as a blueprint for your life? Will you let the shepherd guide you, not just in the valley, but in every moment? If you do, your life will never be the same. Because the secret of Psalm 23 is not hidden in mystery. It is found in surrender. It is found when you stop trying to be your own shepherd, and instead let the Lord be everything He promises to be. And when you do, you'll discover what David discovered, that the shepherd's presence is more than enough in this life and in the life to come.